Hello and welcome. My name is Glenda and welcome to our fall journaling and reflection practice. So my name is Glenda and I am the director of Mindful Healing Space. I'm a psychotherapist with a special focus on grief and trauma, as well as very interested in the intersection of Western psychology and Eastern practices, in particular yoga and Buddhism. I'm also a yoga and meditation teacher, and I created the Mindful Healing Space to kind of bring together these mind and body practices that are available to us that support our journeys back to our truth, to who we are, to ourselves, to calm our nervous systems, and to help us move forward to live a more full life. So these practices are really an opportunity to just take a few moments to stop, to reflect, to maybe even set some intentions moving forward. And although we were kind of doing them a little bit every month, my focus now is really on kind of seasonally bringing these forth. And so I offer this to you today, the first day of fall, as we both look back on the summer season and then look forward into the fall in the next few months of what we might want to be working on, thinking about, setting an intention for. So let's start by just perhaps grabbing your pen, your journal, a cup of tea or water, and just maybe take some moments to reflect on what for you might be some of the highlights of your summer. What stands out for you over these past few months? What do you remember the most, the best parts, the lowlights, the highlights? At any point in time, of course, remembering that you can pause this video, taking a few extra notes, but certainly taking a few moments right now and thinking about the summer. Okay, and as we think about maybe a good timing every quarter is to do this check-in on our cycle of well-being that I've talked about quite a bit in this space, you know, of knowing who we are, what we do, why we do it, but also thinking about these different areas of our life and how interchangeable, pardon me, that's not the right word, intersectionally they work. So one working with the other, even though they may seem very separate, of course, there is a relationship between all of these aspects of our life, aspects of ourself. And so taking a moment now, we're going to go through each of these 9 categories. Now, you've probably, or maybe have seen this cycle before, and the categories might look a little different. Sometimes people use different words for things. Sometimes people add in certain things. If you're more familiar with another one, feel free to use it. This one I just offer to you as one of the things that we can do to kind of continually check in with ourselves as to how we're doing and what's going on in our life. So let's start with relational. So the idea is to think about a certain time frame, whether that's the last week, the last month, the last 3 months. So I'm going to say seasonally over the summer as the time frame, but you can select another one if you like. And then on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being terrible, 10 being completely full, where are you in terms of each of these categories? The first one is relational. So in terms of your relationships, excluding your love partner, partnership, your romantic partnership that you may have, in terms of that idea of all of those social networks that we have, the ability to feel connected, the ability to feel like we belong, how does this rate right now in your life over again this past 3-month period this summer? The next category is mental. So our mental health, how is that? How is it in terms of all of those components that might make up our overall mental health, feeling like we're thriving, feeling like our stress levels are being managed, that we have the mental capacity to deal with our life and the stressors that may be present. Emotional health. So how in tune are we with our emotions? How much space are we allowing them from our emotional intelligence, our self-awareness, but also our ability to regulate those emotions in a healthy way to manage those relationships that we mentioned earlier. Our physical health. So are we eating well? Are we sleeping well? Are we moving our body? How are we able to maintain our physical wellness on that scale of 1 to 10? Our spiritual health, our connection to something bigger than ourselves, whether that is a sense of just higher power and values that we exhibit in the world around us, or if you believe in something greater than our connection to universe or divine or God, or whatever word that you use to ascribe to that notion of divinity. Related to this sometimes is our own sense of purpose and meaning in our life. Again, connected to something other than the day-to-day tasks, but do we have a sense of purpose? Do we engage in our life in a meaningful way? Our financial health. So not only how we bring in money, but managing money, our relationship to money, obviously career and wellness also, but our career is part of this overall idea of wellness, financial wellness. Are we in right balance for ourselves around this notion of saving versus spending? What is our relationship to all of this right now, and does it feel okay for you? The next one is romantic partnership, love, acceptance, belonging. Does it feel good for you right now? Does it feel like your needs are being met through this relationship or these relationships that you may have, this sense of love and belonging? What is your relationship to loving yourself? And the last one is learning. So of course we know that our growth, our well-being is certainly made more whole when we are challenged and continually learning and growing as people into whatever that best version of ourselves may be. And so thinking about, are you being challenged are you growing? Are you learning new things? So that you should have a score in those 9 categories of 1 to 10. You can take an average to see where you are right now as kind of a checkpoint. But then also noting where perhaps you are in terms of one or more of those areas that need to be maybe worked on, focused on over the coming months. So as we look at the new fall season, what may be an area, one of those areas that seemingly you need to focus a little time and a little effort and on. Also noting that maybe 1 or 2 of these areas are interconnected. So if you work on one, the other may go up or down as a result, given the time and resources that we have available to us. So whatever focus area that may be, can you think of 3 things that you can do? I suggest less than 30 minutes that have a limited requirement of other people or major things in order for you to do it, that could improve this area of your life. So I'll give you an example. One of the things that I love to do is travel, but travel, especially out of country or anywhere, requires a lot of things. There's a lot of moving parts to planning a trip. it's very hard to just get up and do these things. And so although that might be something that I plan into my life, it isn't so easily accessible to me to do on a regular basis. Whereas going for a walk, as an example, is something that I can do quite readily, and actually is impacts not only my emotional health, my mental health, my physical health, but potentially relationships as well if I invite a friend to come along. So there's things that we can do that are just more accessible to us, and having an easy access to a list of things that we know we could do, right? That are going to readily improve that focus area and shift things for us, maybe in more ways than one. So let's just take a moment and close your eyes. Just allow yourself to connect, to become aware of your breath in your body. We don't necessarily want to change it in any way, shape, or form. We simply want to become aware, noticing. Noticing how it feels to inhale, parts of our body that move. If we can, almost following the pathway of our breath in through our nose, down to our body. And then focusing on the exhale from our body, up our throat, through our nose. Allowing your body with each exhale to just soften ever so slightly. With each breath, surrendering a little more. Bringing all your awareness to the tip of your nostrils. Feeling the air as it enters. Feeling the air as it exits. Noticing the quality that may be different from the inhale to the exhale. The temperature. The sensations in your body. Whatever else might be present, anything that you may notice. Taking a moment to examine, to explore your body. Where is the place of joy in your body? Joy is a deep sense of inner peace and contentment that comes when we are connected and in harmony with our soul. Where does this live in you? Can you feel this radiant energy? Taking a couple of last conscious breaths in through your nose, out through your nose. Whenever you're ready, opening your eyes and returning to the room, to the space. Through our meditation, through our journaling, through these practices, we are trying to connect to this part of ourselves that we call self, capital S self, this inner part of wisdom, of light, of soul, of energy, of higher power, of observer. And here, when we're connected to this part, we are able to find our truth, find that voice that's that inner us, not clouded by the other voices that may be present in our mind and being. Here we can make choices that allow us to act with integrity with ourselves and our own values and character. So as we talk about joy, there's 8 pillars of joy. So in terms of the mind, there's perspective, there's humility, humor, and acceptance. When we move into the heart space, here there is forgiveness, there's gratitude, compassion, and generosity. And these are all the pillars of joy, joy being something greater than this sense of happiness or pleasure, but this deep sense of peace and contentment in the world and of who we are. And over the coming months, we will be diving quite a bit deeper into the paradox of grief and gratitude, where one hand we have grief and on the other hand we have gratitude, and learning how to hold both of these things, this and that, and where both things are true to us, we are able to emerge another possibility that is something else that lives within the paradox of these two things. Given that grief is our emotional response to loss of that which we held close, right? Whether a relationship, a person, a dream, a way of living, as we all have to some extent over these past 18 months. And yet gratitude is our emotional response to what we have, that sense of peace and thankfulness for our experience, for a relationship, a feeling, a person. And so you can see how there is both of these things so intertwined, because with every experience there's an ending, and the ending signifies that loss. And yet then there's another experience, and this continuation, this movement between grief and gratitude, creating something else perhaps that is life, or at least our experience when we're in it, where we can be fully in the experience, present to it, and grateful for it. We'll be diving deeper into this concept over the coming months, October, November, and December, in different ways. For now, I want you to consider what your intention may be. So every journey begins with the first step of articulating the intention and then becoming the intention. And so as we step into this new fall season, what is your intention? For those that maybe have been working with me through this whole year, starting the year with a word or phrase that might help articulate what you want to work on all year. Mine was practice for the year. It is then about how might the fall and the season of grief and gratitude, the season of bounty and harvest, how might you explore your word, your intention during this season? I love this quote as we end our session. The universe doesn't give you what you ask for with your thoughts. It gives you what you demand with your actions. And that is really the next step of those intentions, is becoming the intention, right? Living it, going back into the cycle of well-being and remembering what your focus area is. So how can you start to bring these seemingly maybe desperate parts of yourself into a more cohesive plan for the coming season, focusing on what you need for yourself and what you can then offer the world around you. Wishing you the very best for the coming season. I look forward to seeing you, whether that's in the Yoga Nidra class or in upcoming conversations on grief and gratitude. Blessings.